If you were anything like my brother and I as a child, you will undoubtedly have played with toy cars, otherwise known as dinky cars, or more commonly in the UK, at least, Matchbox cars. There were other brands such as Corgi and Majorette who came pretty close and even exceeded the Matchbox mark in some cases, but Matchbox had the largest share of the market, the largest number of accessories, and the widest array of cars to choose from. Tony Medland's was the local toy shop in my hometown of Cromer, and it used to have entire racks dedicated to these little scale models, all presented in their Matchbox-like packaging, with a clear window of plastic allowing you to see the wondrous vehicle inside. In our current age, both the local toy shops and the racks of cars have largely disappeared. Instead, you're likely to find a box of cars shoved in a tub on the bottom shelf of your local supermarket. I doubt the minds of future generations will recall the excitement of picking through a tub of misshapen, crumpled boxes featuring 4 varieties of car, whilst mum's off buying cabbages, quite as much as the wonder and awe of a little toy shop dedicated and packed to the brim with toy cars. Now, I acknowledge that this video could rapidly descend into a whiny, "it's not like it used to be in my day" type of video, which frankly is great because that is exactly what I want it to be. Before we delve into the actual cars, we should first examine the landscape that these vehicles will be commanding. Car mats have stead the course of time. They're essentially rugs which have an aerial or sometimes isometric town printed on them, all for your car playing delight, whilst making it comfier to lay on the floor whilst eating biscuits. But what I remember most fondly is the joy of slotting together little pieces of plastic road and letting my imagination run riot, creating my own towns using the flexible world of Matchbox Motor City sets and their cheaper but compatible counterparts. They were what seemed like countless versions of these sets, all which could be combined to create a mega town capable of taking over your parents' entire house, subject to pocket money funds and parental willingness. Normally this meant you ended up with one set for Christmas and a few odds and ends picked up here and there throughout the remainder of your childhood. But, no matter the size, it was still a town of your imagination. In present day we simply have rugs and the occasional jigsaw road which offers a limited interpretation of the metro packs. So, 1-0 to the past. Every time I look at one of my son's dinky cars, I'm sorely disappointed every time I compare it to one of the childhood cars I cherished, until I smashed them all up in crash tests, and he has since lost. There's a sense of deflation. Sometimes little details are missing, sometimes it's a substandard build quality, and in some cases it's just plain size issues. Take a look at some of these classic 80s cars, all faithfully reproduced from the real production line models. Like I said, I smashed most of mine up, so this is my brother's cherished collection, which I removed to my parents' loft after many hours of negotiation and written legal agreements to ensure their safety and return. Now, take a look at some of my son's collection. Can you see the difference there? Most of today's cars are absolutely bogus and deranged incarnations which have spilt out of the minds of drunk designers at Mattel. The reason behind this is simple. It's Hot Wheels. Now, Hot Wheels did exist in the 80s. It was a small selection you found tucked away in the corner, featuring crazy cars from America. Yeehaw! And being American and having a large company behind it, Mattel, it inevitably grew. Slowly it got bigger and bigger until finally Mattel were in a position to purchase Matchbox. Now, when you peruse shops, and I don't mean the internet, I mean actually go to a shop, you will mostly find Hot Wheels with maybe the odd Matchbox car or perhaps a supermarket brand such as Real Toy. But largely Matchbox and Corgi now seems to be mostly relegated to construction vehicles or obscure bottle carrying trucks, with the odd Americanified normal car thrown in. But hey, consumers dictate production, right? So we have only ourselves to blame. Armed with this knowledge that Matchbox are now essentially Hot Wheels, let's dry our tears and move on. The first thing you'll probably notice is the weight difference. The older Matchbox vehicles certainly had more weight behind them than the newer versions. Take these two Porsche vehicles. Although the original Matchbox model has been battered, it still stood the test of time. It rolls nicely, the doors open and shut, the suspension still operates, and you can even read the number plate. Take the other Porsche. It's new, so it's not had a chance to stand the test of time. It does roll nicely, although its lighter weight prevents it from looping the loop properly on this particular track. The suspension is absent, presumed missing, as is the number plate, presumed illegal. You may also notice details on the original car, such as this heated rear windscreen. Now, I know some modern vehicles have invisible heated windscreen lines, but I very much doubt they'd even be here if they were on the original car. The attention to detail is just lacking. The more you look at the older cars, the more you realise that most of them had little functions or quirks to keep you entertained and make them more interesting. Whether it be opening doors, movable arms, opening bonnets, opening boots, functioning roll doors. Modern dinky cars seem to be mostly a block of metal and plastic, increasingly plastic over metal as well, which certainly makes good throwing weapons, but doesn't really keep you interested. They've lost their individuality, they've lost what made them special. And take a look at these rally cars. This famous Group B Peugeot 205 looks awesome. It's got an opening engine bay and even treaded tyres to represent its rally status. This piece of turd might look reasonable, but it's about 3/4 of the size. In fact, most of the Hot Wheels that are based loosely in reality seem to come in different scales. Now, I might let it off if it's a haulage truck or something, but it's just a car. What's it going to be like in another 30 years? The size of a fucking grape? The number of available production models which are based in reality, like I mentioned before, are also somewhat lacking. If you're looking to get the same car that your dad owns, you'd be sorely disappointed. In fact, the best range for that sort of thing appears to be the supermarket branded cars, but they're all based on the most expensive Audis and BMWs. Back in the 80s, you could happily buy a Renault 5, a Vauxhall Astra, or even a Ford Sierra, albeit in rally form in this instance. How is a child supposed to relate some hot-wheeled monstrosity back to his parents' car, or create a town that is essentially a mini version of the world? Now, the only towns you can create are ridiculous clown-like landscapes based in a static, fibre-abundant rug landscape. So, where does that leave us? It leaves us weeping in sorrow about what was, and what is no longer. It also leaves the scores at about 10-0 to the past cars. Oh, but before I go, I have to give some credit to Majorette, the French toy company. Their line of current cars seems to be pretty much as good as it was. This one has opening doors, suspension and a lovely matte paint job, just like its 30-year-old counterparts. Well done, Majorette. Screw you, Mattel. Oh, and Disney. Fuck you, Disney. Thank you for watching this Versus video on Matchbox cars. I do a number of videos every week, so please select the video below or subscribe for more. Thank you and goodbye. Why have you got eyes?